Hello there, Rip City. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The 90-degree days have gone away. The rain is back. This is the Pacific Northwest. And, as always, plenty of sports news to get to. We've been talking about UNLV a lot on this show this week. Could they be joining the Pac 12 sometime soon? Well, if they do, they'll be without their star quarterback. This is a story. Starting quarterback Matthew Solka said he's going to hit the portal. He's going to redshirt for the rest of the year, all because UNLV is not paying him what they promised him on the NIL market. We're going to talk about it on the show today because this story is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. In the Pac-12 as well, though, some news out of Corvallis as the Beavers have announced a home and home with BYU. It'll begin in 2027. So that will be a fun one. I love the watching the BYU Cougars, and the Beavers continue to add to their non-conference slate. The Rip City Drive starts now. Well, hello there, listener. Welcome into the Rib City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here, filling in for Chad Doing once again. This is my final ride with the Godfather, at least this week. Who knows when I get to do it again?
Oh, it'll probably be soon.
You never know. You just relish these moments.
Basketball season starting. We're all going to be in rather chaotic scheduling situations.
Oh, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. You got basketball season upon us. OSAA state championships are about a month away. Life's going to get crazy, baby.
Gosh, the state championships are that close. Huh?
You'll have volleyball coming up on the 8th and the 9th, and Thanksgiving weekend is going to be football, and it's all coming.
Wow, I've kind of missed out on the high school stuff so far.
Hey, there's still plenty of time for you to get out to a game. Maybe you just on a Friday night you leave here and you just go straight to 12th and High School or Wilsonville.
Yeah,
quick little jaunt down I-5, go watch a game.
I've done that.
I've been getting out to games when I can, man. They're fun. It's so fun to get out.
I like high school football a lot. High school basketball too. I like them.
It is a struggle though sometimes with the high school football because I struggle sometimes with coaching at that level.
Yeah,
because I'm just like, okay, it's quite obvious that you have a quarterback who can't throw the ball. Why is your playbook 75% passing?
Yeah,
like play to your strengths, run the ball. Get out that old school triple option or something. The veer, like we talked about, something simple. Play to what you got. That one, I struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that if you can't throw the ball, just run it every play.
Yeah.
Pretend like you're going to throw it. You got to fake it once in a while, but don't throw it.
It's like watching these youth baseball players. And I mean youth, I mean young ones, like the 10-year-olds, right?
Uh-huh.
Where the coaches try to outthink the room and they got their pitchers trying to throw, curveballs and stuff. I'm like, they can't even find the strike zone with a fastball yet. Why are you trying to teach them how to throw breaking stuff? Like just one thing at a time here, man.
Yeah, I think at that age, a fastball and a changeup are probably the best two things for a kid to
Pretty
have.
much all you need. I was actually talking to my wife about this because I was like, at that age, they struggle to throw that ball over the plate as it is, and then you got coaches who teach them how to throw curveballs and stuff. Well, they don't have the velocity to get the rotational speed on the ball anyway, and so they end up kind of throwing with weird mechanics to try to force that extra rotation on it, and then you get bad. You get, my elbow hurts, Mom. And you're how old? Yeah, that sucks. Let's not do that.
Well, the curveball isn't good for the young ones anyway.
No.
It's really not.
It's not
They
at all. They
can wait on that till they're a little older.
Yes, absolutely they can. Throw strikes first and then throw different types of pitches. I've always wondered though sometimes in pro ball why some people have such limited pitch arsenals, man, because some of those pitches are really hard to get accurate and throw. Like how come you don't like you'll see a pitcher who has like two fastballs and a changeup but no true breaking pitch because for some reason just never got the curveball or slider to run with him. It's always kind of interesting to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, if you get enough movement on your fastball, you're okay. That's the thing. And nobody's teaching kids how to make their fastball move. You can make it sink. You can make it, can turn it over and get a screwball out of it. there's a lot of things you can do with a basic fastball that I think a lot of people don't bother to teach kids. And you can use a old-fashioned wiffle ball to teach those things
Oh yeah.
because it's easier. It doesn't take as much rotation to get the ball to move. So you can teach them how to do that movement to get the ball movement.
There you go. See, there you
But
go. It's fun.
yeah, we used to do that with kids all the time back when I was coaching kids a lot.
We always did the like the Edgar Martinez drill where you had to hit the tennis ball and tell coach what number was on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we weren't trying to train our lazy eye like Edgar was, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I always laugh at some of the things I see, but then again, I get back into my car and I remind myself there's a reason I'm not a coach too, because that's a hard job. Like,
Yeah, real hard.
I mean, I did coach the undefeated national champion purple kitty corn T-ball team. Again, stats weren't kept, neither were wins or losses, but I'm pretty sure we were national champions. Yeah,
Yeah, I
feather
remember
in my cap.
coaching. I coached kids in leagues where you didn't keep score. I always kept score.
Always.
I always knew what score was.
Yeah. All these kids, Coach, did we win? Yep, you won. You won. That's all. That's all
Yeah.
that mattered. We're gonna get to plenty of sports talk here today. This UNLV stuff, man, we got to spend an entire long segment on that. This is getting crazy. You got a quarterback who is saying NIL's not paying him what he promised, and he's on the outs. You got Oregon State meeting up with BYU with a home and home. That comes on the heels of earlier in the week, I believe it was Wake Forest. They announced a home and home with, so they're finding a pretty good slot, and that's good for the Beavers because while you have conference question marks, you're making sure that non-conference is shored up, and there's still plenty of other stuff to talk about. I actually want to go in and get some Blazer thoughts from you today before I run out of this town because Media Day is on Monday, so we're going to get a chance to talk to some players and get a feel for what the season holds coming up for the Blazers now that they do have a broadcast partner on TV, which is great for them. But before I get to any of that, Dwight, I got a gripe.
Really?
You know what?
You don't gripe much. What's
What are you
what's
talking
going
about?
on?
I gripe all the time. Ask my wife.
Trying to help you.
Last time I griped with you was about people being dumb and pulling U-turns at four-way stops where they shouldn't and just holding up traffic because they're just so self-important. My gripe now, though, is okay. I get that the self-checkout was put in for convenience.
Yeah.
And you know what? I like to use it. It's great. But here's the deal. If you don't know how to scan an item, go to the helpline. Go to the line that has a cashier that's going to – when I'm sitting there waiting with my 3 items to go through self-checkout and little John Doe in front of me has a full cart and he's just scanning the banana, looking for where the barcode is and puts it – they got to type in and then slowly puts it into his bag and then grabs his box of cereal and flips it over a couple times to look where the barcode is. But I always walk in, I just scan, done, out.
Yeah, okay.
Get out of my
Couple of
way.
corrections.
No.
First off, they didn't create that thing to make it easy for you. They created that thing so they didn't have to hire 3 more cashiers.
That's so true.
Now,
I will
the
accept
reason
that correction.
Yes, and the reason people don't go to the cashier is that's way down at the other end of the store with 18 people in line because those 18 people don't want to do self-checkout, and there's only one real checker there to take care of all these people. That's what I would say in response to that.
That's fair.
I like the self-checkout, too. I'm a big fan of it. Lately, I've had a bad run, though, of getting the machines that aren't working. And I look up, there's always a person there to help you. And I look up and automatically, they usually think, oh, this whole guy doesn't know how to do it. But this time I look up and she's going, yeah, I know. And she comes over and has to hit a couple buttons to reset it. And then it happens again. And, she said, well, if you hadn't already started, I would have just told you to go to another machine. But this one's,
I don't know.
you're halfway done, so you got to keep going.
I tried to tab the Fred Meyer one. I think was racially profiling me because twice in a row over the summer I went in and I got stopped and waiting for assistance. They come over and they scan their card and it tells them what the issue was, and the issue was my face pops up and it zooms into my cart as if something's left in the cart, like I was trying to steal something, and she's like, There's nothing there. I'm like, I know, I scanned everything. Like, why? And she's like, oh, yeah, it just does this sometimes. And then I went back a week later and did it the exact same thing.
Wow.
Like, I'm not stealing. She's like, I know. She's like, darn cameras. You can't trust them. AI, all that.
Yeah, those machines are kind of weird anyway. They want you to put your scanned items down on that platform. Boy, they get really mad if you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I usually have a shopping cart because I'm checking a lot of things, and I'm just going to run the cart out to the lot and load my car up.
Yeah.
And I put it in the cart again, and man, that machine gets upset with me.
Yeah. You know what else I hate? I hate when you scan it and then it goes, please put item in bag or cart. I'm like, the Flash couldn't get it from the scan to the bag that fast before you're yelling at me, lady. Give me a chance to bag it.
Yeah.
like, come on. Also, you say you like to use the self-checkout.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one thing I'll never understand about stores. It's all part of the mind tricks that they try to play on us, right? But most of them now have 2 locations for self-checkout, one by each door.
Right.
I don't think I've ever been in a store when they're both open at the same time, it feels like. Oh, or like you have 14 different cashier spots. I have never, not even on a Black Friday, been in a store where every single one of those is open.
Oh, never. They're not going to hire that many people.
That's a joke.
That's like having 2 self-checkouts, but each one requires one person to be standing there. They're not going to pay that other guy to go down the other end and stand there.
No.
They're going to pick the end that gets the most traffic, and that's where the person's going to be, and they're going to shut the other one down. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little cynical about that.
I know. I do like my Costco checkouts, though.
Why?
The self-checkout at Costco, I don't have the same issues that I have when I go anywhere else.
Oh, really?
Everyone goes through. It's quick. Boom, I'm done. But also Costco, like the lady in front of me yesterday, this lady, bless her heart, she had like 2 carts full of stuff, man.
Oh, man,
and
people really buy there.
And she was loading up, man, and she had so much stuff. I didn't have to wait a lick. That guy's just, how many in their cart? 9 items. Boom, boop, 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 boop. Here's your check. We're done. All right. Like, it was so fast. Cashier knew what he was doing.
You know, I have to say, I really don't go to Costco much anymore. I spend too much money when I go there. I go in there to buy. There's certain things we buy there because we know they're going to be cheap there. They're kind of loss leaders. Everybody goes in there to buy their toilet paper and their paper towels, you know, because they're loss leaders. They're losing money on them just to get you into the store. But inevitably, I see something else I want, and then I see something else I want. And I'm buying things that I never in the world came in there to get and probably don't need in the first place. But I see them, and they trick me into buying them.
Yeah, I never used to be a Costco guy until about this time last year when I finally bit the bullet and bought the card, because I was like, I can't keep doing the regular grocery store for this family of 5, because that adds up. Yeah. Like the dollar doesn't go as far as it does at the, I didn't used to need to buy 2 jars of peanut butter at a time, but now I do. I have two kids who are basically preteens who are growing like weeds. I got the baby. They eat food like crazy. Like, I can't keep up. So Costco comes in handy. I know there will eventually be a time where I get to backtrack and only buy for 2 again. But right now, I need that Costco wholesale, baby.
Even buying for 2. I don't like grocery stores. I hate having to do shopping. I don't like grocery shopping at all.
Yes, I don't either. I don't really.
I kind of get stuck once in a while.
I know. It just happens. I make an excuse most of the time. Like, what do you want for dinner? I need to stop and go get a beer anyway. So, all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dwight and I are going to dive into this UNLV story, because not only is it crazy, I think it might be a sign of some bigger problems within college football, Dwight. And we're going to talk about it when we return here on the Rip City Drive. Man, these listeners don't understand that I have feelings, okay? The first comment on YouTube, where's Chad? He's not here. I'm here. Just be happy for what you got, Dwight.
Hey, all he said was, "Where's Chad?" You're lucky.
Who the hell's this
You're
Chris
lucky
guy?
to get. Where's the real guy?
Yeah, where's the real guy?
Yeah.
It is fun. Okay, you know what's okay? I say it's funny, but you know what is also kind of sad at the same time about this business in particular is if someone does take a vacation day and someone fills in like I filled in for Chad, people instantly, oh my gosh, where's he been for the last 3 days? Like, did he get fired? Did they let him go? But
Yeah.
like, no, Chad he's cushy, he's good. But that is the nature of the journalism and broadcasting business. Like, oh, did so and so get fired? Where's it? No, he's just taking someone will fill in for Colin Coward. Oh, did Colin Coward get fired? No, guys, he's just taking a vacation. Like,
Chad works with me. He needs occasional days off to recuperate.
oh man, it's true. It's true. But at the same time, don't you need days off to recuperate from working with him? I mean,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
weeks off.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's why we had an off season back in the day, right? You know, the NBA off season. It wasn't just for the NBA players. It was for everyone on the beat, so you didn't have to see the people you've been traveling with for
Yeah,
months
no
at a
kidding.
time.
Yeah.
Love you to death, guys, but you need a break. All right, let's talk a little football here, Dwight, because there's been some real interesting stuff coming out of UNLV. UNLV undefeated right now, right? Gonna open up conference play. They get to play Fresno State. They're off to the best start that they've had in decades, like since like the 80s, I think it was. Looking at the number, they are churning and burning, right?
Yeah.
And people are thinking that they're a sleeper. Maybe they can get through the Mountain West. Things are looking good. They can get into the college football playoff now that it's 12 teams, and those Cinderellas can get in. Things are looking great. But then you get news yesterday that starting quarterback Matthew Sluka is going to enter the transfer portal and is redshirting for the rest of the year. Okay, so you're thinking like, why would you redshirt for the rest of the year? Things are looking. Comes down to the fact that he was reportedly, and there's different reports here. It's all kind of a rumor, he said, she said right now, but that he was promised a $100,000 NIL deal to go to UNLV. That deal has not been, in his bank account, so to speak. His agent reached out, and after some success early on, was like, well, you should probably be getting more money than that.
Yeah.
And the school's like, well, there was never a deal. The NIL collective says there was never a deal in place for $100,000. The school says the most we can give you is $3,000 a month for the rest of the year. And he balks at that because he has an agent in his ear telling him, no, you're worth way more than that. And now the starting quarterback of an undefeated top 25 team has just walked away from his teammates for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Chris, it's a tough situation to decipher at this point because everybody's saying something different. And I think there are certain things we do know to be factual. Number one, factual thing is this quarterback of an unbeaten team off to its best start in recent history has quit on his team, quit on his teammates, everybody else. Now, it's a dispute over money, and always when you add money to any sort of equation, there's going to be disputes over money. That's just part of what happens. Supposedly, he signed a paper with the school's NIL collective saying $3,000 a month. That's what he was supposed to get. Well, he said he had an oral promise from somebody of that $100,000. First of all, young man, get it in writing. Anytime there's a sum of money that big, you got to get it written down and signed. Otherwise, don't take it for granted. Don't think about it. So my thoughts, number one, are this guy left the school, left the team, left him hanging, and it's over money. A lot of people are saying he has an agent now that he didn't have when he first signed his agreement for NIL, and this agent thinks he can get him more money somewhere else. So he's going to save this season. He's only played 3 games. It doesn't count on his eligibility, so he can redshirt and take that year somewhere else. So the agent who, by the way, probably gets a cut
Oh
of
yeah, for
whatever
sure.
he's
Just
going to
like
get.
any other agent.
Yeah, whatever he's going to get at the next place, the agent will get money. The agent's not getting anything now because he signed the deal before he had the agent. So I would be suspicious there. But we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see more and more and more of this kind of stuff, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a top 25 team right now. This guy's walking away from it, and who's to say? Like, say you get a DJ Uiagalelei situation. Now, I know that he's transferred a bunch and all that, but say you get a guy who transfers to a Florida State, right,
Yeah.
with grand aspirations, having a really good year and winning a conference championship, and then your team starts out the gate 0-3, and you're like, what? That's
Yeah.
not what I anticipated. Like, what if I'm gonna go ahead and just right now before I waste the rest of this year, I'm gonna go ahead and just redshirt and enter the portal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you realistically, that type of thing could happen now.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could. And I don't know. I'm old school, but I look at a guy like that and just say, quitter. You're a
Yeah.
quitter. You quit on your team. And there should be more of a bond, I think, than that you just walk away from your team. Now, he was still, if he's getting the $3,000 a month NIL that he's supposed to get, he's getting cost of attendance at UNLV, which I would guess cost of attendance there is pretty high. He's probably getting $4,000 or $5,000 a year. He's also getting money for books and all that other stuff. He's probably making $6,000 or $7,000 a month for playing quarterback at that school. That's not a bad deal.
No.
It's not like he's stuck in some sort of poverty situation. So, sorry, but I don't feel real bad for the kid. I honestly don't. Yeah, if he was lied to, it's probably his fault because he needs to get it in writing.
Hey, he is a New York, New Jersey kid, and the out of state cost of tuition before financial aid at UNLV is estimated to be $42,000 a year.
Wow.
So
he's getting that free year of tuition too, or he
Basically,
was
yeah.
until he quit. He's probably not even enrolled in the school now.
yeah. Now I also think this is a situation too where it's easy to want to blame him, and I get that. Also, like you said, I'm kind of old school too. Like I don't like the whole quitting on your teammate thing, but I think this is going to be a cautionary tale too moving forward as more of these players start to get these NIL deals and more of these college athletes are signing agents like they never have before. Is that just not every agent is a good agent, right?
Yeah.
Not every agent is a good guy.
Well, they're
Now-
not all ethical either.
That's exactly right. And now Sluka's a senior, so he's been here for a minute. But say you are a 5-star quarterback in high school and you're coming into college and everyone's recruiting you and they're saying, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars if you say you're going to sign your national letter of intent with my school, right? And then so now the agents start lining up. I think those agents know because again, some of them are a little shady, but they could probably take advantage of an 18-year-old kid who is about to see more money than he's ever seen in his life.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's going on, Chris, from what I understand and what I've heard, once you get an agent, other schools can contact that agent. They don't have to contact you. They contact the agent. So that kid's playing for whatever it is he was getting from the school in Las Vegas. But now somebody sees him at a Power 5 school and says, I like this kid. He's only played 3 games. Call his agent. Okay, let's call the agent and say, we'll give the kid $500,000 to come to school here next year. How does that sound?
Right.
Boom, he's out of the classroom, off the team playing, out of uniform, and gone before you can shake his hand. He is out of there. For that kind of money?
Yes.
If he, and I don't think he's that good, trust me. I would doubt it because statistically, at least, he doesn't look that good. Who knows? They're undefeated. He gets a lot of credit for it. Somebody might want him. And if it's a bigger school in the Big Ten, even in the Big 12, if they want the guy, he's a quarterback. That's upwards of $1 million at a lot of places right now. So now all of a sudden, he's only played 3 games for you, and you're still having to compete to keep him for the rest of the season. That's not right.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, he transferred to UNLV from Holy Cross, right?
Right.
So he was on the market, and where the interest level was limited. That's why you took it wasn't
Yeah.
Colorado or Nebraska, or it was UNLV, right? And more so, if you only play 3 games, his statistics are not great. Like the team's undefeated, but he only has, a couple hundred yards passing, like 360 yards passing through those 3 games or something like
Right.
that, right? Dual threat though, so he can change the game. But just because the team's undefeated doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're just going to start garnering interest from teams you haven't garnered interest from before. So again, that goes back to like the agent, a little bit of agent malpractice at the end of the day. If you're convincing this kid to go there and beg for more money and then leave because another school can offer you more money, and again, it's all just a weird little story. But at the same time, Dwight, that's just one side of it, because the other side of it is that he was promised one thing, and the school didn't fulfill it, to the point that there is a running back on the roster, not their leading rusher, but he's down on the depth chart, like their second or third string running back, team's fourth leading rusher, because their quarterback is dual threat, like I said. But he is doing the same thing. He is deciding to redshirt and hit the transfer portal. And so maybe there's some shadiness going on at UNLV. And the big thing is in the long run, like if you're in Oregon State right now, even like you guys have had him on before, like the Damnation, right? The Beaver Collective, and you have the Division Street Collective for the Ducks. You should be watching this and understand that I think the most important story out of the UNLV thing is that coaches and schools need to do their best to be in lockstep with the NIL, because you can't have coaches saying something that the NIL can't promise, and you can't have the NIL promising things that the coaches don't want to offer. You got to be together.
Yeah, that's true. And supposedly the coaches are not supposed to be a part of any of the NIL offerings. Now, that doesn't mean they don't talk to the collective and say, we love this quarterback. Do what you can for this particular quarterback. But the other thing, too, it's not supposed to be pay for play. It's not supposed to be
absolutely
a recruiting tool to get, but it is. And that's what it's turned into. And that was just unintended consequences of doing this, which a whole bunch of people predicted it would be.
Without a doubt.
Like I predicted it, you probably did too, that eventually it would just be come to our school for $1 million. And that's what it is some places for quarterbacks.
So this is where then, Dwight, that like, where does the governing body step in? So when does the NCAA actually come in? Because the NCAA deserves an absolute ton of blame in all this too, because they haven't come in and put any sort of cap or rule or regulation on it. They have let this, for lack of a better term, be the wild, wild west. It's whoever has more money and who can do this and who can do that. And your key point that you just said a second ago, and that's what UNLV is arguing that it shouldn't be, is that this is very much turned in to pay to play. And it shouldn't be, because NIL was supposed to be the ability to go make money off of your image, right? So that Dylan Gabriel could go and do the Carl's Jr. commercial for the local Eugene Carl's Jr. And go out there and make commercials for, Dylan Gabriel Toyota or whatever the heck it is. It wasn't, we're going to pay you $2 million to wear my Duck uniform. That's not what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the insanity is here, and we're going to see more and more of it, because next week players will have 4 games under their belt. Well, you can redshirt if you've played only 4 games, correct?
I believe it's the 4
I think
game
it's
mark.
4 games. So I wonder next week if people will find themselves in a situation where they're not happy and bail on their teams after that 4th week and say, hey, team's no good. I'm not getting any attention.
Right.
Recruiters aren't here. I mean, the pros aren't here scouting us. None of that going on. Or I think I could make more money somewhere else. I'm having a good year. Let me get out of here. I just wonder how rampant that will be. And, if you get to that, and everybody's going to say, well, just let the kids make as much money as they can. Well, okay. I think it's set up. They can make a lot of money. We've established that already. But there's also that element of how much time and money has been invested in them by the schools in good faith of trying to take care of them, and then they just walk out in the middle of a season.
I mean, it's something that I've heard you argue a lot too, and the naysayers will be like, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, the scholarship is money.
Yeah.
Like money
Well,
does
people
not.
don't care because none of them are going to school for the school part of it anyway.
Yeah, but here's like I just pointed out that the out of state tuition at UNLV is $42,000 a year
Yeah.
estimated. So when you give that guy a full ride scholarship, you're essentially giving him the $42,000 a year for all that stuff. You don't have to pay
Yeah.
a dime out of your pocket
Right.
like I did because I wasn't on scholarship.
Yeah.
So you get that. So that's money, right? And
Cost of attendance, which means room and board and meals
yeah.
for all that time.
Also argue for a lot of those guys who are the top air quotes earners, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're also in a position to be set up for your next career endeavor, which is not something that college does for a lot of people. Again, you go, I graduated, and then it's like, hey, you're done. Go find a job. How? Like,
Yeah, right.
okay,
Where?
What? Where?
Yeah.
You know, you were sold the promise that you're going to get your degree and get lots of money, and well, what? Like, you know, it takes a minute. Like, so there's a lot to that too. So I just think it's a weird situation. You would hope that there's rules to it. I hope that this kid, you know, gets what he wants out of it, honestly, because it's not fun. And I think that the word to the wise is this all don't take what, you know, the agent or anyone else tells you, oh, we can give you this amount of money to come play here. If I'm a kid right now and I'm listening and watching this story, I'm looking that guy dead in the eye and said, then get it in writing. Where's my contract to sign?
Yeah, get it in writing.
Because if even if you put this out, and you know they're not yet, Dwight, but I mean you put this out to like you're an employee of the school now, right? And this is what you're going to make. Pay to play, as dumb as it is, that's kind of where you're going. At least then if you get into this situation and you feel like there's a lot of money that is not coming into your bank account like it should, legally you got grounds to stand on, right? Hey,
Absolutely.
I signed this contract. They're supposed to give me $100,000 over this 4-month period. I haven't seen a single dime. Where's my money? Right now, it's like, yeah, well, you know, it's just
Contracts are, you know, they're a pretty good thing to have, and you're supposed to abide by them unless you're the Pac-12 conference. And then when you're dealing with the Mountain West, you're not going to abide by a silly contract, I guess.
right.
But,
Yeah, there's a lot going on when it comes to contracts in the
Yeah.
Mountain West. And I mean, be careful, what school wants to go out there, because, you know, you might get a poaching penalty imposed on you by UNLV
Yeah.
and the rest of the Mountain West, because they're pretty good at that right now. But even that's so, man, if that's what an agent is going to go do too, like that's a whole nother slippery slope, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so as a coach, you have open and closed recruiting periods and times that you're not, but where's an agent bound in all this? So like you said a second ago, so can an agent, if I'm Dwight James's agent and he's playing for the Ducks, while you're out there in the middle of a game this week against UCLA, can I be on the phone with Alabama's office being like, hey, Dwight's ready to enter the portal if you guys just want to give him twice as much as Oregon's giving him right now.
Yeah.
You know, coach can't do that. I'm the agent, though. I'm not bound by those rules, baby. What do you know? I mean, the gates are open, and that's not fun.
It's a stinky business out there.
I don't like it at all.
And college sports have always been a little bit on the dark side, but now it's pitch dark.
Yes,
real dark.
You gotta be careful. It is. It's a very, very interesting time in college football. That is for sure. We're gonna take a quick break here on the Rip City Drive. Plenty of more sports talk coming up here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. I must have missed something good. I look over and Shacker's just cracking up while I'm talking to Dwight with my mic off.
He's laughing about the music he's playing, I'm sure.
Without a doubt, he shook his head. Yes, without a doubt, he knows.
Yeah, he's waiting for me to sing along, and I think I'll pass this
Yeah,
time.
that's that was probably Dwight's go-to karaoke song if you were ever
Oh,
going
yeah,
to
for sure.
karaoke.
Yeah.
Hey, Dwight, I want to pivot to sports a little bit. I want to talk a little baseball with you. I know you're a baseball guy. I'm a baseball guy. We had Mike Barrett on yesterday. Had some real good conversations about the ballpark going in, and they signed that letter of intent, if you will, to purchase that land there in the South Waterfront. And I don't know about you, but this one, I know everyone wants to poo-poo it, and I get that because you've been sold this same story now for so many years about what's going on with the Portland Diamond project. I also think you can't act as if there this 4-year window between 2020 and 2024 where something significant around the world happened didn't put everybody back a few steps, right? So COVID, but this one feels it feels good. Like the way Mike was talking, and the more you start looking into it, it feels like this one's actually kind of moving forward a little bit rather than just putting things out there. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with this new potential location.
Well, it's going to be a while, and I know there's a lot of testing and inspections that need to be done on the property. And then I think they have to make arrangements for financing because I don't know what they're going to buy it for, but nobody's going to walk in with a check for the full amount. You're going to have to put down a down payment and then finance the rest. That's just how it's done. So I think we're looking at could be a 2-year process.
It's still going to be a process. We all know that, but
Yeah.
I just do feel like this one might actually see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. I am looking forward to see some renders. Mike did say that he has
Yeah.
some and
Yeah.
that they might drop eventually. And
That's going to be great.
that would be really cool to see what those renders look like and get an idea of what that entire South Waterfront could be. And it's a good idea.
You know, the one good thing, Chris, is that baseball hasn't even said yet that they're expanding.
Right.
They have not said that. They haven't said, okay, now submit your bids for a team. They haven't done that yet. And you have, whatever, a year to submit a bid. They haven't even gone that far. So I don't know that there's a big rush, and there won't be a big rush until there's some deadline put on it by MLB and saying, okay, you got a year from now to submit a bid. Show us what you got going. And during that time, they probably better buy the property. Just having a letter of intent for the property wouldn't be good enough for MLB. They'd want you to own it and have plans and show them exactly what you're going to build.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what comes from that. And I'm excited. I'm always excited when I hear Portland Diamond Project news. But from a team that doesn't exist yet to teams that do, there is just a handful of games left in Major League Baseball, Dwight. First off, last night, the Padres kept their hopes of the division very much alive by beating the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani sitting on deck, and they ended the game, Dwight, in about the most unimaginable way possible, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding that a team has never ended a game on a triple play that allowed one team to clinch a playoff berth, which is what the Padres did by winning last night. They clinched at least a wild card berth. So they did that by getting a triple play, runners on first and second, nobody out, and Ohtani on deck, and they got a triple play to get out of the inning.
Oh, it was about the most perfectly turned triple play too. Right to Machado at third, steps on the bag, whips it around the horn, boom, 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 you're out. Goes to replay review just because, confirm they're all 3 out. And now they got, 2 more games, I believe, against the Dodgers?
2 more.
And then a 3-game set against the Diamondbacks to end the year. And they're sitting here right now 2 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West. So they could sneak up on them. They could grab this, and that would be quite the feat for the San Diego Padres, who, Dwight, are 9-1 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens too, Chris, in that the Diamondbacks are in a free fall all of a sudden and are only a half a game ahead of the Braves for the final wild card spot in the National League. So they desperately need to win games Braves, meanwhile, not playing tonight or tomorrow against the Mets because of a hurricane going through Atlanta.
You beat me to this. Speak on this nonsense for a second, right? Okay, so take a look at the NL wild card. As you said, the Padres clinched their postseason. They're still in play for their division with 5 games left, but they got a 4.5 game lead on the Diamondbacks, who have the last of the 3 spots. The Mets have a half game lead over the Diamondbacks, and then right behind the Diamondbacks are the Braves. So this
Right.
game between the Braves and the Mets very, very much so matters. And it's not like a hurricanes, Dwight, just pop up
Yeah.
and you had no idea they were coming.
We
They're-
didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, they're not like an earthquake where all of a sudden the hurricane's coming. So this again is kind of a malpractice by Manfred and Co. for not at least say, okay, where can we move? Can we move inland a little bit more? Can we get you over? Heck, is Texas playing in town? Can we just play the game there? Heck, maybe we go up to New York. I don't whatever. Just get out of the way of the hurricane, player safety, fan safety as well, and play these 2 games. Because now by not playing because of the hurricane, the potential is if these games matter. So now the commissioner is kind of banking on the free fall of the Diamondbacks to continue, right? So
I
that
guess,
the games
yeah.
don't matter and those 2 teams are locked in. But if it matters, if they have to play them, they'll do a doubleheader on Monday, right? With the playoffs starting on Tuesday. So one of these two, a doubleheader the day before play.
Yeah, blow
dumb.
out your starting pitchers.
Absolutely
just to
dumb.
get in the playoffs. It's crazy stuff. They've known for 5 days this hurricane was just dead on to hit the state of Georgia and especially Atlanta. And they've had chances. There would have been, I think, 2 or 3 I saw ballparks open for them that would have been willing to host games that would have been safe to play. They could have gone many places and just gotten the games played today and tomorrow, and that would have been the easy solution. But this guy, Rob Manfred, he doesn't want to do anything. He sits in his office in New York and tries to think of new ways to make the bases larger and limit the number of pickoff throws and have a ghost runner in the 10th inning, all that stuff. But the actual baseball part of it, he's missing in action.
Hurricane schmurricane. Let's talk pitch clock, okay?
Yeah. Let's wait until the day of the game and see if it's still going to be a hurricane.
Yeah, that's all right. He goes and makes millions to make these dumb decisions.
Yeah.
All right, 1 hour down, 2 more to go. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more sports start coming up on the Rip City Drive. Hello there, Rift City. It is 4 o'clock here in this rainy and soggy and gray afternoon, but it's all full of color and happiness in here because we got sports to talk about. First off, in college football, over at UNLV, things are getting dicey with star quarterback Matthew Sluka announcing that he's going to enter the transfer portal and redshirt for the rest of the year. Well, the Rebels right now are 3-0, undefeated, off to one of their best starts in decades, ranked in the top 25, and their starting quarterback is leaving. Why? Because apparently he's not getting the amount of money that he was promised by the NIL and the school. He said he was promised $100,000. He was offered just $3,000 a month by the school just a few weeks ago. Things are getting dicey in the world of NIL. Also, in college football down in Corvallis, the Beavers have announced a home-and-home series with BYU starting in 2027. Hour 2 of the drive starts now. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather Dwight James. And Dwight, we were talking a little bit of baseball a second ago. The Braves and Mets, not playing because of a hurricane, despite some playoff implications. The Padres making a push. You've talked about the Detroit Tigers, who have been on an absolute tear. The Mariners sitting 2 games back. With the playoffs about to start just a week away here, who's your favorite right now? Who do you think's playing the best baseball at the right time and has a chance to get a World Series championship right now?
It's a tough call, Chris. It's just the last few years, it's been mind-numbing almost how the favorites have not been able to even get to the World Series in some cases. I think all year I've felt the Phillies had the best team in the National League. Two good starting pitchers and a lot of offense. They haven't been playing well lately. And you look at the Dodgers, and they're not very good with all the injuries they've had to their pitching staff. San Diego was probably playing as well as anybody's playing in the National League right now. And then over in the American League, the Yankees are playing well again. I don't particularly care for their pitching. I'm not sure it's good enough. The Astros will be a factor because they always are. And gosh, beyond that, I don't know what to tell you.
It is. It is kind of wild. It's hard to pick right now. There's no leader in the clubhouse.
No, and it's funny too. Those teams that end up winning a division, getting a bye, they're not overall doing so well. Those days off don't seem to be helping anybody.
No, especially like of all sports too, especially a sport like baseball where you don't have a lot of days off built in general.
You're in the rhythm of playing.
It's all about being in a rhythm, right? Basketball, your rhythm is literally play a game, have a day or two off, play a game. It's usually the one day. Sometimes you have the back-to-backs. Football, your rhythm is play a game on Sunday. You usually have a week off, play a game. That's your rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
If you're used to playing 6 out of the 7 days of the week, and then all of a sudden you got a 4-5 game day break, whatever that break is, before you even that throws your rhythm off in a game like baseball.
Sure does.
So that's an interesting way of looking at that. But we all know that pitching matters when you get into the postseason. The Yankees, their pitching lineup does leave a lot to be desired. However, that hitting lineup of theirs will put fear in any pitching lineup. So,
yeah.
I mean, you talk about Ohtani getting all this pub for getting into the 50-50 club, and the way he did it, he had a game statistically that no player has ever had throughout their career total in that game. Like, that's how incredible that one game was. But as you pointed out, you look at all the significant hitting stats, and Aaron Judge is like far and away the better hitter, right?
I think overall he's a better hitter than Ohtani. Yeah, I do.
So
he plays in the field. He's not a DH.
Yeah. So that's they got a guy right there. Cleveland's putting it together, like you said. The Astros, their run is where they're always kind of a threat. Philly's good. I wouldn't mind seeing Milwaukee make a run because it's just
Yeah.
They always kind of put it together, but then just can't get that one little last step.
I would love to see that because Pat Murphy is the manager there now, longtime Arizona State coach in the Pac-12, Pac-10. Um, Good guy, funny guy, really understands the game. And I think it's fun to see a college coach come into the MLB and be successsul.
Yeah,
He's got a real shot at winning Manager of the Year.
that'd be pretty nice. That'd
Yeah.
be nice to go win that. So, that's a little bit of baseball, and I want to talk though a story that is just kind of taking over as it should, and that is just you talk about Manfred, and the bad things he's done just in the last week with that schedule and just baseball as a whole, right? Unfortunately, down there in Oakland, they might have the worst ownership group in the history of sport
Yeah.
with what they've done. And the A's, I feel so bad for that city because you think about like here locally, what Seattle fan feels to this day about watching the Thunder play basketball, right?
Mhm.
They miss their Sonics. I kid you not. I don't think I've gone to a Blazer game and not seen at least one piece of Sonic gear somewhere.
Yeah.
I have seen Sonic gear on the road when I traveled with the Blazers. People miss that team. And then you look at Oakland, and in the span of the last 3 years, they lose their basketball team, they lose their football team, and now they're losing their baseball team. They go from having the three main sports to not having any. And anyone says, oh, they didn't lose their basketball team, they just moved across the bay. Well, if you say that, then you haven't been to the Bay Area.
Right.
Those are two wholly unique regions and cities, and they are different.
There's
And
a rivalry
all,
there.
yeah, and also it's a pretty big bay. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like they're
is.
going over the Burnside Bridge, okay?
That's true.
Like it matters. They lost it all, and the A's, gosh, all that history there, just everything about that organization to just be nope, we're done with you, no matter how much you love us. And Dwight, quite frankly, Barrett yesterday was like, baseball, they're going to go, they want to expand. We know they want to expand, but they got to wait to figure out what happens with Tampa Bay and Oakland. He goes, we already know what Tampa Bay is doing, getting a
Right.
new arena, a stadium and all that. And we think we know what's happening with Oakland. Because, Dwight, all this stuff with the renders and the stadium in Vegas, all that might fall through.
They still, I believe, don't have the financing for it. He thought he was going to get a lot of public money, and he's not going to get it. And I'm talking about Fisher, the guy that owns the A's. Horrendous owner, has basically run the team into the ground. He's wanted to make things so bad he could move the team. He got the American League, MLB, to go along with his plan to move to Vegas. He's just been a terrible owner, has never spent any money on the team, hasn't kept the good players there. They've run a lot of really, really good baseball players through that franchise, but traded them away when they could and not gotten much back for them. The one thing I would say, and I'm not taking anything away from what a lousy owner this guy Fisher is, they lost all those teams in Oakland. And I think the football team had a pretty goofy owner too.
Yeah.
The Davis family for years, they moved once to L.A. and then they came back. And, Al Davis always wanted to get out of there. And then Mark Davis managed to accomplish it. But, and then the Warriors, I don't blame them. They moved across to a more prosperous location than what they had in Oakland. But by the same token, the city never seemed to really want to do a lot. And look, everybody hates it that cities build arenas and stadiums for rich guys, for billionaires.
Oh, yeah.
The fact is, if you want a team, that's pretty much what you have to do, except in Portland, Oregon, where the Portland Diamond Project plans to pay for their own arena. And Paul Allen paid for his arena. In both cases, this city would do it. I mean, the city would have never built the Moda Center. I'm sorry.
Right.
Would have never happened.
Well,
that team would have relocated by now.
And we've talked about it before, but wasn't the city not wanting to pay for it? And wasn't that part of the Delta Dome not going through too? Didn't that get outvoted, or
It got outvoted very narrowly. And that was a big mistake at the time because it would have been, I think, the second dome ever built. And it would have
because Houston got theirs first, right? What was the Astrodome
the
first?
Astrodome came
Right.
first. But Yeah, it's just I don't like the idea of having to build stadiums for rich owners.
Hmm.
But I like the idea of getting a team in a town.
Right.
And I also understand that once you build that arena, take the Moda Center, for example, it really doesn't belong to the owner anymore. It belongs to the city. He can't move it. He can't put a trailer
Right.
hitch on that thing and pull it up to Seattle or anywhere else. It's Portland's arena, and it's used for so much. I tried to tell people this when they were building it. You'll be in that arena, and I know you're not a basketball fan. Pretty much everybody around Portland has been in that arena at some point because there's been music there, lectures there, conventions there, all kinds of things going on in that building that serve the public. So, yeah, the public ought to have some share in it. And it's a place that the whole city can gather and celebrate its victories, its losses, and whatever else it wants to celebrate, including having the Rose Parade start there. You know, I mean, there's just all kinds of uses for it. And so it's not just totally the plaything of the billionaires.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ideally, you want to get those buildings that could sell out. That's why you talk with like Mike Barrett, and he was talking about, summer concert series and things that you could use
Yeah.
a stadium for outside of just baseball. And I think almost it feels like it's almost kind of a newer thing. Baseball stadiums are starting to realize, oh yeah, we can be used for that too. And you're
Yeah.
starting to see those summer tours. And you talk about concert venues and how big that is. I mean, maybe the Foo Fighters will change the perspective and had enough success that people realize maybe they can use Providence Park more, right? But if you have that facility that can bring concerts in, I mean, I would have loved to go to Metallica, but the closest they came was Seattle. Why? Because they were doing a stadium tour.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, look at all the stadium tours we've missed
Yeah,
that went to Seattle.
Absolutely. Or the Pink concert that I took my daughters to. That one stopped in Tacoma. Why? Because the Tacoma Dome, even for the concert, is still going to seat 19,000 people. Even though it's old and it's dated, it's going to sell tickets and sell out. And it did.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Taylor Swift would be here if we had an outdoor venue in the summer that sat that many people.
oh gosh, could you imagine Taylor Swift concert here? I mean, I'm not a Swiftie, but I'd probably want to go just for the
Absolutely.
experience of seeing one of the biggest megastars there is
Of course.
put on a concert, Yeah. And those are things that are unfortunate sometimes when you got to think like, okay, do I want to go to Metallica because I'm going to have to invest in the gas? I'm probably going to get a hotel because I don't know if I want to drive home at midnight after a long day. And like, it'd be nice to just have a concert venue here.
Yeah.
And a baseball stadium could do that. And so the basketball stadiums too, like Moda Center does a pretty good job of having stuff going on all year round, right? But again, there's only so much you can do in an arena versus a stadium. The stadium can get you those big concerts and the big shows. And you and I joked about WrestleMania. I don't know if it ever come to rainy Portland in March, but again, that's turned into a stadium show. So is the Royal Rumble and SummerSlam. Those have turned in
If you
some
had a
stadium
retractable
shows.
dome too,
Yeah.
then you're in business.
They had pretty good
Yeah.
success with the WrestleMania in Seattle. Just saying.
Yeah.
So I also really don't care what you decide to put into it in the offseason. I just want to see baseball here because I'm selfish. Also, I wonder if you could, because you actually you can do some games they do at baseball stadiums. If you had a baseball stadium that sat 35,000 people, maybe you could push that out so that it's a Duck Beaver game up in Portland with
Yeah.
seating.
Possible.
Yeah, little things like that matter. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean, Apple Cup, right? Granted, the Huskies play in Seattle, but they move it to Quest Field, air quote, neutral site. Gives it kind of a fun little vibe. So, I don't know. Just build a stadium and bring me all the sports. I want all the sports, darn it. All of them. When we come back, plenty of more sports to get to because you know what? It's never a dull day here on the Rip City Drive. Well, welcome back into the River City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather, Dwight James, Michael Shacker behind the glass, if you will, pushing buttons for us, and we're having a good old time here, Dwight. And this was something that you put on my radar the other day, and we were talking about the Oakland situation, right? And teams building stadiums and whatnot. I mean, I'll tell you what, I can understand why the Warriors wanted to leave. Oracle was a dump and a half, right?
Yeah.
Like, it also cracks me up. Like, I wonder, like, even Veteran Memorial Coliseum, right? Like, I just sit there, I'm like, did you really, like, even in the 70s, this had to be a tight fit and felt weird for a professional sports team, but you built it anyway, right? Oracle, when I went there for the first time for a Blazer game, I went out to the concourse to use the restroom, and I thought I had gone into like the 300 level because it was so small. And I'm like, no, this is the main concourse of Oracle. That's how bad it was.
Mhm.
Chase Center is much nicer. If you remember, we were there for one of the first Blazer games down there, which was like an opening week. And I tell people it was funny because we go through the media entrance, we get down, and there was still ladders and wet paint. Like the
Oh, yeah.
underbelly of the arena wasn't done.
Yeah, down underneath the sort of backstage areas were not finished when we were there.
Yeah. So, I actually do, though, Dwight. I think it's going to be interesting as technology and things progress, because you look at Chase Center, you look at Golden One Center, the Milwaukee Pfizer Forum, all those new arenas, the way that, like, I don't think they're going to age. They're built big. They're like the underbelly. I mean, they're built to sustain pro sports. They're built to sustain concerts. They are built to last in a very special way. So we'll see what happens. I know like Moda is definitely showing its age, but it could be fixed. Look at what they did in Utah, man. They gutted that thing, similar to Key Arena, where
Yeah.
what they did was they kept the skeleton. They just gutted the bowl and redid the inside. And I was there both pre and post renovation in Utah. And it felt like a completely brand new arena.
Yeah, it did.
And in a good way. It's a beautiful spot to watch a game. So I hope Moda can do something similar when they decide to do that over the next few summers.
Yeah, I think that, and I've said this on this show before, Chris. I do believe, from talking to some of the people involved in potentially being buyers of the franchise, they want to get the team out of that arena.
Mm.
Partly because the arena needing as much, it needs a lot of work, because the shelf life is getting past the expiration date. Not only that, the traffic problem and the location. I think when they built it, they thought, wow, the confluence of I-5 and 94 give you that, a lot of access. What it's causing is major traffic jams, and they've not been able to mediate all the traffic problems in that area.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of complaints about it. And I think there would be tendency for a new owner to want to go to the suburbs.
Mm.
I do think that. I believe there's talk of that because there's land available. And I've mentioned before how the Diamond Project had a lot of communities offering up a lot of benefits to them if they wanted to build a ballpark out there. I think an arena housing the Blazers would get the same sort of treatment. And I do think some of them wouldn't mind leaving that area.
I tell you what, that empty lot where the dog tracks used to be seems pretty enticing for a lot of things. That'd be pretty cool. I like Moda. I personally just renovate it, make it look nice. I like the Rose Quarter. I like those things. I like when teams play in downtown. I don't think you always got to move to the burbs. I think it's fun. I like it.
What do you think? And I'll get a chance to see Dwayne Hankins next few days and ask him this. What do you think is going to be the major focus of the renovation? What do you think they want to change the most?
Gosh, that is absolutely a good question. I don't know how you do it, but like I go with Utah, right? As an example, Utah is built very, very high. Like it is built straight up, right? And I think if you take Moda is feels like a tweener. It's not completely built out. Like if you ever I know you've been there, but fans, if you've ever been to Dallas's arena, American Airlines arena, that one it almost feels like a football stadium in the way it's built out. Like if you're sitting on the baseline, you're way back. It's weird. But I think in Moda, Dwight, I think you could build you if you tore out that entire bowl, you could redo it, build it up. You might lose a few seats in the process, but build it straight up to widen the concourses because the
Yeah.
concourses are pretty tight in Moda. And that's what they did in Utah. They completely widened that up. And then what a lot of the newer stadiums are doing, Golden One's a great example, and they end up doing it in Utah too, is not only are they widening those concourses, they're building them open so that all the food and stuff is on the backside, not the court side,
Right.
right? So if you go out to go get your snack or your beer, it's an open view down to
Yeah.
the court and you can see it no matter what.
Yeah,
And that's
ballparks are built that way now too. a
yeah,
lot.
and it used to be there was only a handful of them. Like actually, like the older ones, and then like Safeco was one of the few that started bringing that trend in. And so I think that would be a cool thing to do at Moda is build up, widen the concourse, and create that open line of sight no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I love the wide concourses. I think it's a necessity. More bathrooms, which
Yeah.
we make fun of Ballmer all the time. But he's right. These arenas need more
Oh,
bathrooms.
without a doubt.
If you see at halftime the lines that there are to get into them. I think the other thing they've always lamented at the Moda Center is the suites are too high.
Yeah.
I have heard that for years, that if they were a little lower and got you a little bit lower, they might be easier to sell. Now, if you dropped them down, you might have to lose a few suites. I don't think that would bother them because you don't sell a lot of them. But I also think the other thing, and Mike Barrett alluded to this in a ballpark, the premium seating is getting to be a big deal.
Mhm.
That's out in Hillsborough. They're talking more about premium seating than they're talking about suites. People love to go and have that four-top table and sit around, order your drinks or a dinner or whatever, and have that table, put your scorecard down on it if you want, put your phone on it if you want, but to have that table and be served instead of
Right.
having to go to a concession stand, that's a big deal now. We see it in Atlanta. The Braves have had great luck with it. They have it behind home plate, down fairly low now, and those seats sell like crazy.
Yeah, a lot of the stadiums more so now, Dwight. Like at Moda, you have the main 100 level, then you have the 200 level, then you have the suites. A lot of stadiums are starting to put those suites more so where that 200 level
Yeah.
is. So you're just down one level creates a big difference there. So you're right on the suite thing. And the other thing that they're adding is they're adding things you wouldn't think of. Like in Atlanta, on the one baseline, it's a bar basically. You can go get your drinks right there on they took away the seats to put in a entertainment facility, and you have courtside club at Moda. But if you go, I know the Thunder have one, Dallas, but a couple of them have legit like restaurant bar clubs in there that you can go to during the game. I think Golden One Center has. I swear, I've been at Golden One Center post game doing a live hit, and up in the 300 section, they got like a dance club because
Yeah.
the music's bumping, people are having fun. Things like that would be fun too.
Yeah, see, that's another thing they've stolen from baseball. That's all over baseball now. In the outfield, that area where younger people can gather, it's kind of like a singles club, really. You hang out, you have a few drinks, you can dance a little, but you can watch the game because it's open to the game. So,
Which is interesting too, Dyke, because everyone watches a baseball game on TV and sees empty seats and says they have a problem.
right.
But every time I've gone to a baseball game, the concourses are full all the time. And I've done it too, where I'm like, hey, let's go grab a beer and then walk around and catch different views of the
Yes.
game while we're
Do
there.
it all the time. Do
Yeah.
it all the time. In fact, every major league park I've ever been to, I always make the circuit all the way around just to see what the views look
Mhm.
like and to kind of case the joint. What do they have that's different? What's new? All those things. I think that's a good thing to do when you go to a ballpark is to make that circuit and see what they have. But those things are extremely valuable these days. The other thing I see when I go to games, and this just kills me all the time, Major League Baseball isn't a young person's sport now. They're not watching baseball. It's the older crowd. Their fans are dying off. I'm telling you, I go to games in LA and in Phoenix and in Atlanta. The age of those crowds is young
Very.
because it's a cheaper date. than the NFL and the NBA. You can still get in for a reasonable price. It's full of college kids, and those areas with the bar and the dancing and watching the game are packed. They're just packed. They buy tickets, but they're never sitting in their seats. They're wandering around, talking to people, hanging out. You know, it's like it's become a hangout.
Yeah.
The crowds aren't getting older. In fact, I've been stunned in Phoenix how young the crowds have been.
Right.
Teenage kids, high school kids, college kids. It's jammed
Well,
with
it's like
them.
that center field section at T-Mobile
Yeah.
for the Mariners where they've done those 4 tabletops is almost always packed. And the thing is, like, because baseball lends itself very, and basketball can too. But like one thing I don't like about going to a basketball game as a fan, and every once in a while in the middle of a game, like Keith from my buddy from the Trailcasters, he'll be at a game, so I'll go sit up with him for part
Right.
of the game before the game ends. But you have a group of 5 people, and to talk to the guy in the end, you got to reach through 5 people to yell at him. And sometimes when you just sit at the tabletop, it's nice.
Yeah.
Now, I know people who go to Blazer games now, and it's like, hey, halftime, let's meet up and grab a beer over whatever it is. And then they drink, but then they miss part of the third quarter. So again, if you build your arena with open sight lines, more of those tabletops where you can sit and have your drink or eat your nachos with everybody and still watch the game.
You'll sell a lot more beer and nachos, I'll tell you that.
Like I could sit up at the concourse, honest to God, no joke, Dwight. If I could sit up at the top of the concourse with my buddies, have my drink, and still have an uninterrupted sight line to the court, I would probably
That's where
spend
you'd
more.
be.
Because
Yeah.
I think people spend less because they don't want to leave and sit
Yeah.
in line and have to watch on the TV while they're waiting.
Exactly. Yeah, because the lines are, I mean, you better get up there right at the start of halftime and get in line, and maybe you'll have your food in time for, and that's not a knock. It's that way everywhere. I mean, it's always that way. But the good thing at the Moda Center is they have a lot of different places to buy your food. So you don't have to get in that hot dog line. You can go over and get a salad, or you can get whatever you want from the various vendors that are there, even a Killer Burger if you're looking for
and
it.
Moda did. I actually think Moda was a little bit on the forefront of doing this, and I've started to see this at all the other arenas, and that's good. But that is your food is your local food. The food that you'll find outside Moda is now inside Moda. Like in Utah, again, I'm just using it as an example as one that was recently renovated that I'd been to. But there's a place called R&R Barbecue in Utah that I really, really like. But there was just one location downtown. When they renovated, they put an R&R Barbecue inside what is now the Delta Center. And it wasn't like the kiosk you walk up to. It was like a square box almost, if you will, inside the concourse with seats around it so you could grab, eat, and still it's cool. And so it's cool to get a place like a Killer Burger or if you could get a Big's Chicken, that's a local chicken joint, like that'd be cool. Grab that while you're inside Moda. So those things I think would be imperative to creating that awesome experience.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A is inside a lot of arenas now too, a lot of ballparks. And
Yeah,
things
they're
like
inside.
That.
They're inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome now in
And not open
Atlanta,
on Sundays,
and they're not
right?
open on Sundays.
Yeah.
But they're an Atlanta institution. So yeah, I think things like that would really easily help the fan experience. The other thing, unrelated to the concourse and the things you would eat, Dwight, that Moda Center has to do is, I mean, you don't really realize it until, again, you've been to some of the other stadiums, but they need like the full court video board in the middle of they need the big one.
The big one,
The
the
big
long
one.
Yeah.
I mean, again, all the Golden One Center and what is now the Ball Arena in Denver have that, where it's big enough to have the big replays, but you see all the stats on the side at the whole time. And like I like the Blazers have the old school ones in the corner, but sometimes there's so much turnover, and you get another team coming in. I'm like, okay, who's number 23 for Denver right now? I don't. And then I look at the box score and see. But again, with the big scoreboards that they have in some of these arenas, it will say, Scoot Henderson, 10 points, 5 assists, just right there, an update. So that's a thing I would like to see. So there's things they could do for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch that build out and see what happens over there. It's going to be like a new arena, I think, once it is completed. I think it will take some time. I had originally heard it might be 2 summers of renovation. They'll get half of it done and then be able to use the arena for the next season, then finish the other half later.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that, but
No,
I'm sure
it'll
in
be
today's
an endeavor.
world.
It'll be an endeavor, but I definitely think there's things they could do, and I'd look forward to them doing those things and making it a better experience. I do think it's a great experience right now, but that's the thing. Just because I say it could be better doesn't mean I think it's bad. Like, but there's always ways to make it better and make the
Yeah.
fans not want to leave that arena.
Yeah, the first time I went to the new ballpark in San Francisco to see the Giants play.
Oh, that's a special one.
Oh my gosh. And they got every great restaurant in that area has got a concession stand. It seems like you can get whatever you want there, and including hot fudge sundaes from what's that chocolate company that's down on Fisherman's Wharf?
Ghirardelli's.
Ghirardelli Square. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a place to buy hot fudge sundaes in there. Whew. The kids and I gorged out on those.
I say you just do the most Portland thing ever and you make your concourses big enough, or at least expand one section of it out a little bit somewhere where you don't really have stereotypical concession stands. You have a food cart pod.
Yeah, you could do
That
that.
would be like the most
Well,
Portland
they
thing
kind of
ever.
have food carts in there now
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah, they got a few of them, but
Yeah.
that would be, again, that would be nice because right now you do have some of those ones that are on the back wall like we're talking about, but since
Mhm.
they're not built in, they all stick out. So it takes certain spots of the concourse and makes it even smaller. So if you took out where your concessions are right now, blew those out, put those on the back wall, nothing sticks out, and everywhere you go, you have an uninterrupted sight line. I should be an architect, Dwight.
Well, I was just going to say they don't need to hire architects after this segment. All they need to do is just follow our lead,
Yeah,
follow
I mean,
our orders.
it would be kind of fun to be on the research team, like Mike was talking about yesterday about all the different stadiums they've gone to do some of their research, and
Oh, they've been all over the
and-
country. They know exactly what they want.
yeah, and every single one of them has something unique. But that's something that baseball does, quite frankly, better than just about any sport. And basketball has really started to do a better job with it with these newer arenas. But it's give you a reason to walk around everywhere, not just your section. Give you a reason to walk around and see
Yeah.
things and do things.
You know, and too, Chris, the good thing about ballparks is they don't have to be symmetrical. And Barrett was talking about that too, the idea of, can we get a short porch in left field or right field or
Right.
wherever? Do you want to make one alley where it's a little bit longer or shorter or whatever? And the idea that you built it to fit the geographical spot that it's going in, because that's why ballparks weren't symmetrical. They had to fit in whatever city block that you put it on, because they were always in the city. And you look at a place like Ebbets Field. Well, that's just because in right field they didn't have any room.
Right.
So they made it shorter, and that was part of the charm of a new ballpark, and they were all different. And we went through that terrible time where all those ballparks were built the same. They were all circular. They were multi-purpose.
Oh, gross.
Play football in them. They all had lousy turf in them. That was
Right.
terrible.
Well, it's like Fenway. The reason you have the big green monster is because of the unique plot of land that they're on to begin with, and
Yeah.
being, stuck in that little wedge. So you could do things. Then on Barrett's note too, you're talking about splashdowns. You don't got to take something that's San Francisco's. Make your own thing. Have some fun.
Yeah.
So we'll have some fun. I didn't even get to the original arena topic that I actually wanted to ask you. So maybe I'll ask you that coming up after the break here on Rip
Okay.
City Drive.
That's why I like Mike Shacker. About once a day, he hauls out a Foo Fighters song for me. I much appreciate it. Gets me going.
Hey, that's why I do it too. Every once in a while, I'll throw a Foo in there. I know you like AC/DC now and then.
Yeah.
I'll keep you happy every few songs.
No, I appreciate that.
Keep the Godfather happy. You'll have a good show. It's just a good way of life. Hey, Dwight and I were talking about stadium renovations at Moda. We were spitballing things we'd like to see. If you got any ideas what you would like to see at Moda, give us a call. 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. In fact, we do have a caller waiting right now. Looks like George in Portland wants to talk Blazers TV, says he prefers the radio broadcasts. George, floor is yours.
Yeah, I prefer the radio broadcast because the television broadcast is not blind people friendly. The radio broadcast is descriptive, number one, and number two, the radio broadcast gives you the scores, where as a television, when I say, well, we're up by 8, they won't give you the actual score, and that is very annoying for a blind person. We'd like to know what the actual score is, and they don't give you enough times on the television. Sometimes they'll spend almost a whole entire half without giving you the score, which is very annoying. So to me, the radio option is a much better option. Maybe if they give the score more often, I might tune in every once in a while to the television, but as long as I get the radio, I'm okay.
Well, George, I certainly understand your feelings on that. You're a sightless individual.
Well, I have a little bit of sight, but very little. I'm almost totally blind at this point.
Yeah, well, here's the thing on that is they do tell the broadcasters, you are merely giving a caption for the picture. So they don't want them to go into too much play-by-play because people can see it on their screen. So they are providing captions for those pictures. And then there's graphics on the screen that tell the score. So the problem with that is you get left out, and I sympathize with that. But that's why we're here, and I'm glad you're listening. And be sure and tell your friends because Travis Demers is on there for us and does a great job. And we're proud of our radio broadcasts here and happy to hear, George, that you like them.
No, the radio broadcast does an outstanding job, and I really like them. And I like Travis because he's cool-headed. He's not a screamer.
Yeah, that's right. You're right,
he's
George.
really nice to listen to.
Well, you had a good call tonight. Thanks for calling us.
All right.
Hey, he is spot on though, man. And the reason I like that comment is because you're right. If you do have a hard time seeing or you're blind, the TV broadcast doesn't paint that picture for you. That's
Right.
what radio's supposed to do because they know, blind or not, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a way to see the game.
No, when
You
you're
have
listening
to-
when you're listening on the radio, we're all blind.
Yeah, you have to paint the picture. And what I
Yeah.
like about that call, I'm glad that Travis does a great job and he likes listening to him because, man, that's hard to do, is to paint that picture
Sure.
and create that visual for someone who doesn't have that painting, as you said, in front of them. So
Yeah.
it's hard to do. That's why there's so few play-by-play jobs. And I think there's even fewer play-by-play guys who are actually really good at painting that picture. Maybe good at calling a game, but not good at painting the picture. And you got to do that.
Yeah, you do. And I'm glad he called just to remind us of that there are people out there who probably don't see as well as we do, and they need those descriptions. And, that's part of the reason we're here.
Yes.
And I know people in all sports, like who would rather hear baseball, for example, on the radio than watch it on TV because they love the descriptions and just the sort of romantic way baseball is broadcast on the radio.
Yeah, well, baseball, because you have to fill so much extra dead time, you have to really paint with those wide strokes. Like
It's a home for storytellers.
Yes. I mean, because that's, it's a beautiful 75-degree day here. The autumn leaves are falling out in center field. And like you start painting you're painting more than the game. You're painting the stadium and the surrounding areas. And I mean,
It's why Vince Scully was a hero. Vince Scully was a storyteller.
The smell of the hot dogs wafting through press row right now.
Yeah.
Like you're creating all sorts of senses just with your voice. And that's tough to do. Like no disrespect to any of the games he calls, but it's like Mike Parker. Does a good job on football. Real good job on football. But man, when he calls a baseball game, you can hear him in his element, just loving it and calling a good
he loves
baseball
calling
game.
baseball.
Like you can
he's
tell.
great.
And so,
He's a big league broadcaster in baseball.
oh gosh, he's good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not putting any disrespect on his football game.
No.
I think he calls a great football game too.
Yeah.
But when he calls baseball, man, he
He's
has
at
the
home.
skill. He has that skill.
Yeah.
And it's definitely hard to do. So yeah, George, thanks for that call. And a reminder, right here, you're home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620 to hear Travis call all those games and paint those pictures. Now back to arena talk for a second, Dwight, because my original
You're
question.
still trying to get to it, aren't you?
I am. But hey, when we get sidetracked naturally and have good conversation, you can sidetrack me all day long. And when I just give you dead air because I'm struggling to say something or I don't know where we're going to go, that's when we're in trouble. But if we want to sidetrack us with good combos, that's good. Now, my question, though, to you about the arena, Dwight, was you sent me this link the other day about the potential NBA-specific arena in Las Vegas kind of falling through. So how does that impact their expansion? And I'm just like, how many arenas does one city need?
I know.
Like Portland is over here just trying to get one baseball stadium, maybe. And then you got Las Vegas, who's like, oh, we have T-Mobile, but, that's good enough for hockey. But, if you get a basketball team, we want to have their own arena. And pretty much every casino has an arena inside of it. Oh, and you got UNLV that's literally like a mile and a half off the strip that has their own basketball. How many arenas does one city need?
No, they've got more than enough. And I know these guys. See, there is some benefits to owning your arena. And you build it yourself. You get all the profits from the hot dogs, the parking, everything else going on inside that arena. And there's people that want to do that. And this one they're trying to build is near the new train station that's being built to house the bullet train from LA to Vegas. So they want to be in that locality thinking they're going to get customers from LA. And it's also going to have a hotel connected to it. Much like I think the MGM Grand has the MGM Grand Garden arena next to it.
Yeah, and the MGM Grand. I remember those were all where the old WCW Halloween Havocs were at the MGM. Oh, and Thomas and Mack Center, I said the other day, holds like 14,000. I just looked it up. No, for basketball, it holds 17,900, which would make it bigger than the Gamebridge Fieldhouse where the Pacers play, bigger than FedEx Forum. I mean, there's arenas in Vegas. So you think you have trouble here trying to build one. Vegas is like, we have 10. Why not have 11?
Yeah.
Might as well do it. All right, 2 hours down, one more to go. You got Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes, under Home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Hello there, Rip City. It is now 5 o'clock on this rainy, gloomy afternoon, but we're still here to have a good time and give you all sorts of sports news. We're going to keep it here in college football, though, where some interesting developments are coming out of UNLV. They're off to an undefeated start, one of the best starts in the program's history, honestly. It's been decades since they've been this good. But now they're going to be without their starting quarterback because Matthew Sluka has announced that he's going to redshirt for the rest of the year and enter the transfer portal. Why? Because apparently UNLV or their NIL collective has not given him the money he thought he was promised. He thought he was going to get $100,000 to go there to UNLV. Instead, he's only been offered $3,000 a month. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Who is in the right, who is in the wrong. Either way, a cautionary tale for NIL and colleges. And Oregon State has also announced that they got a home and home starting in 2027 with BYU. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather Dwight James. Chad Doing will be back tomorrow for all you loyal listeners wondering where he's at. Hopefully someone will be like, hey, where's Burkhardt? Just to prove that I'm just a little bit missed when I'm not around.
You're missed.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Dwight.
I got a public service here before you get going in
Do
this
it.
hour. I just got a message that Scoot Henderson is making an appearance downtown at the Portland Gear store downtown on Saturday. That's 403 Southwest 10th downtown from 2 to 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. He's got his new shoe that he's developed. It is the Puma Scoot Zero. They're going to raffle off 50 pairs of those.
Nice.
And then they're going to sell another 50 pair, and he'll autograph them if you want to buy one.
Well,
Buy a
there
pair.
you go. Heck yeah.
Chance to meet Scoot Anderson, get your picture taken. You're supposed to RSVP, so go to their Facebook page, Portland Gear. Tell
Well,
them
there
you're
you
coming.
go. Hey, he needs to hold it down. Someone needs to hold down the shoe game.
They're
Ever
nice
since-
looking shoes, too.
yeah.
I've seen them.
They're good. Ever since Dame left, I mean, the Dame had some pretty good shoes.
Yeah.
Still need to get a pair of like the Stone Colds or the Ric Flairs floating around.
Yeah.
Those
yeah.
were kind of fun. Give it. You know what, Scoot? You know what you need to do is just show me that you like wrestling. I know you're too young for the Attitude Era, but just show me you like wrestling. We can be friends.
Yeah, he might have missed that.
He definitely missed the Attitude Era.
Well,
mean,
I think
come
he
on.
might have missed wrestling. You know, that I think that generation hasn't really been tied to it.
No, because there was a time and place where wrestling was pretty bad, pretty much from about 2000 to 2010 was terrible wrestling.
Yes.
So we'll give Scoot Henderson a pass on that one. But big news of the day, we talked a little bit about the UNLV story, Dwight, and if you missed it, some crazy stuff going on at UNLV right now where their starting quarterback, Matthew Sluka, has announced that he's going to redshirt for the rest of the year. He's played 3 games, right? You get 4 in college football now and you can still redshirt, which I think is a great ad that they did do. It allows players to still get some experience, but not burn an entire year of eligibility.
Right.
And that's good. But he's kind of taking advantage of that situation here. He's played 3 games. UNLV is undefeated, off to one of their best starts in decades, right? They are a top 25 team. They're about to open up conference play against Fresno State. And then he makes this announcement. And all because of NIL, because apparently the rumor mill, because right now it is a lot of rumors. There's not a lot to really say which team or which side of this is the right or wrong. You've heard statements from both. But the rumor is that he was promised at one point in the recruiting process, and he was in the portal. He went to Holy Cross prior to UNLV, that he was promised $100,000 to go play at UNLV. That never happened. There was no contract signed. and then he ended up going back to the school of trying to figure it out. They said they could offer him $3,000 a month, and now he has an agent that he didn't have when he originally went there. And all this is about, oh, you could probably get more money elsewhere. They're not doing their duty. It all blew up. He entered the portal. A weird situation, Dwight.
Real weird. And I don't know where to come down on it because I don't think we have enough information quite yet on it's more of a he said, she said kind of situation right now. But I don't like the idea that he left the team kind of hanging. I've never been fond of that kind of thing. But there's always two sides to every story, and I'm sure he's got his side to it. I do think, though, that if you really want to get money from anybody, you better get a signed contract.
Absolutely.
Don't go like somebody's promised. We've all had that buddy who borrowed money from you. Yeah, he's just not going to pay you back.
Yes. Yeah. We've had that before. Most of my buddies, it was more like we just had running tabs that we all forgot about eventually. So it's like, I don't know how much I owed him or he owed me, but hey, I got you this time, you get me next, But that's not going to work for him here. Again, just a weird situation all the way around. And I don't know. I don't know where it goes, and it impacts someone down the line. But it does seem that UNLV may have been making a few promises that they couldn't keep, because a running back on the roster also announced that he will be entering the portal after playing 3 games. So it's not just the quarterback. Michael Allen, their running back, one of their leading rushers on the team, announcing the same thing. So this is the type of thing for me, Dwight, that you got to be careful with, because it can start opening the doors for a lot of things. What if say you're a highly touted defensive guy like Mateo Uiagalelei at Oregon? Man, what if Oregon comes out the gate and they lost to Idaho and they lost to Boise State, right? And and they lost to Oregon State and they're 0-3. You're out. You're no hopes of getting into the playoff, but you're one of the best defenders in the country. Hey, guess what? Red shirt, portal, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate to see things like that happening. I think once you make the commitment to play for the season, that probably should be it. I know they're trying to get the rule back where you can only do the portal one time. Most of these guys are using it 2 or 3 times.
I do think that one needs to come back. It made sense for the reasoning with things that were going on, obviously COVID, all that thing. And at this point, though, I do think you need to bring back a little bit of semblance of that. Hey, you commit to a school, go through that commitment. If you want to enter the portal, you can do so once without losing eligibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I never liked even in the old portal, I never liked the idea of having to sit out an entire year just because I changed schools. So don't bring that back. But again, I love Dylan Gabriel as a Duck quarterback right now, but on his 3rd school, like that's kind of crazy.
Well, I think so too, Chris. And I think this is college, and maybe if they're not going to be in class a lot, you might try teaching them some life lessons with things like the NIL. And one of those lessons would be, if you make a commitment to somebody, you have to fulfill it.
Yeah.
And you make that commitment that you're going to come and you're going to stay there as long as they fulfill their agreement with you, which is to pay you the money you've signed in a contract that you're supposed to get. Now, if they don't pay you, that's a different story. Maybe you can go.
Right.
But, or at least sue them, I guess. But there has to be some lesson about making a commitment and staying. And then they can't cut you either. If you stay, you're staying for the whole time. They can't cut you. They can't cut your money off.
Yeah, I agree.
You're in there.
Yeah,
you're set.
Well, I think I think there's something to be said that if they're gonna have these NIL deals and they're gonna be kind of treated like independent contractors, right?
Yeah.
Well, then here's the deal: your contract is a minimum 2 years, and you don't get your NIL money unless you fill out those 2 years for us.
Right. And we won't cut you. We'll let you stay here, earn your money.
Mm-hmm.
That's our commitment to you. That way, both sides have a stake in this. All you got to do is just go play.
And I think that's what it should be in general, Dwight. So think of it this way. Think of it like the NFL and guaranteed money. And granted, I know it's not pay to play, but I think if I'm an NIL collective, I'm looking at certain things and go, okay, here's the deal. Here's your money. Let's use the UNLV situation for a second, okay? We will give you $100,000 if you fulfill this 2-year obligation to play here. However, of that $100 million, $75,000 of it won't be guaranteed until you fulfill your duties.
Yeah.
The other part of it will pay you in increments to get you through the months.
Right.
But if you leave early, you get the money we paid you monthly, but you don't get the full money because you left us early. That was part of the deal.
Yeah.
Like there's certain, I mean, it's just like the NBA where you have certain dates where if you're not cut from the roster, that contract becomes fully guaranteed. Because there are some players that have been doing it where it's like, okay, I'm going to go here because they're giving me a fat NIL deal. I go there, get the money, leave as soon as I can. Right.
Mhm.
And so I think you need to curb that a little bit so that the NIL collectives, especially the ones again like Damn Nation, who you guys have had on, and Division Street, who are doing a really good job, don't get taken advantage of in the long run for doing a good job and getting ways to get these players money. So you got to find some way to curb this all and get it even, right?
Yeah, I think so. And have some rules in place. It can't just be the Wild Wild West. You have to have some rules, I think, to protect both sides, protect the schools and protect the players. That's only, I mean, in any sort of employment thing. Look, it speaks to this thing in today's world anyway, Chris. Ask somebody who has a lot of employees in their small business. The biggest problem they have is people coming to work and then decide, hey, I need a week off. Well, you just started a month ago. We can't give you a week off. Okay, I quit. And they just walk out the door. That happens all over the place these days. I hear it over and over from my friends who run a business. And to me, these lessons somehow have to be taught. A commitment is a commitment. You know, you go to a place, you sign up to work, and yeah, if you're treated poorly, you can quit. But if you just want to take a week off and go with your buddies fishing somewhere, I'm sorry, you committed to this business. You can't really do that.
Yeah, and you're seeing a trickle down effect too, because especially in like places like California, where you have some of the top tier like football programs in the country for the high school level, you're seeing students trying to transfer to get to the better school, to do this, do that, to get themselves set up. And that part hurts because, the way these schools are, those kids in your neighborhood, they're the lifeblood of your program. And you need those kids there. And it's just like, and I've never understood it because like for me, like I would rather go be great where I'm at, like, and make wherever I'm working or whatever team I'm playing for, be great for them and make them great rather than just transfer out to the school that gets everyone into the NFL to just be another person who came through the door who's forgotten in a couple years, but I got my bag while I was there.
Yeah,
like,
you're not a super team guy.
No.
That's right.
I mean, if I end up creating a super team because we do good, that's great.
Yeah.
But I would rather be, I'd rather be the legend that lives forever, man. Like,
are you seeing with the OSAA, and I've heard of this in other states, kids are playing football at one school. As soon as football's over, they transfer to another school and play basketball at another school.
I can't speak to that. I haven't seen it. No, like honestly, I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. And but there are rules around that within the OSAA because you have to play for the school that your house is in.
Yeah.
And but you have rules in place, Dwight. So you can't just move around mid-season and switch those things up. And
yeah, I was going to say, if you're wealthy enough, you just go buy a house in another neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it, but to be fair, there's a lot for me to pay attention to.
I know.
But I haven't seen it. And if it were, I know that I don't think anyone would like it. So
I don't either.
Yeah, I like commitment, man. I like just go be great. And and I also don't think you need the big school sometimes because you know what? If you're good at the sport that you're at and you have NFL talent, NFL's going to see it. If you have baseball talent, MLB's going to see it. Doesn't matter where you're playing.
See, I grew up in a different era. In my era, you wouldn't leave your friends behind to go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
You wouldn't because you'd want to be having your success with them. That would be important to you.
Oh, I wouldn't do it in a minute either because, I mean, like one of my best friends on the face of the planet, Justin Bowden, he ended up being my roommate in college, right? He and I met through playing football in middle school. And if you would have told me, hey, you get to leave one of your best friends behind, but you get to go play at a better team, hell no.
Yeah.
I want to go to battle on every Thursday and Friday night with my best friends, man.
Yes.
Well, you're gonna make new friends at this new school. Yeah, but I got friends right here. I don't want to leave behind, man.
That's the way it used to be.
Yeah, it's exactly how I would have been, Dwight. It's almost like you know me.
I do.
Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, maybe we'll open up the arena conversation again, or maybe we'll go somewhere else. We'll leave it up to you, the listener. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 503-248-0620. Tell us what you think needs to be done at Moda to enhance your experience. Also, Providence Park, the Foo Fighters played there a little bit ago. You know who plays there all the time? The Thorns and the Timbers. And if you want a chance to go see those Portland Thorns, right now is your chance. I got to look this up why the music's playing Shacker because my webpage just went away. I was all ready. Technology threw a curveball at me. Now I don't even know what I'm trying to give away. I just know that I'm trying to give free stuff to the loyal listener.
Rip City Liquidators.
Rip City Liquidators here all the time when technology works. But if you want a 4-pack of tickets to see the Thorns take on Utah on October 5th, now is your chance. Caller number 2 at 503-248-0620. Caller number 2, 503-248-0620. You will win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Thorns take on Utah on October 5th. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather, Dwight Janes. We got a quick break, but the Rip City Drive rolls on. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather, not my Godfather, Dwight James.
Thank goodness.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Come on, you want to be my Godfather?
Well, if I could
Coworkers is enough.
if I could get a side of beef once in a while, it'd probably be worth
We can
it.
hook it up.
Yeah.
But no, I keep calling you the Godfather because it's your nickname, and apparently it's confusing my daughter, who just asked my wife, like, why does Dad keep calling Dwight his Godfather? I did tell Danielle the other day, my lovely wife, that we need to have her bring the girls over or have a dinner or something. I was like, Dwight wouldn't even recognize Peyton because, we haven't traveled since pre-COVID.
I
And you
know.
remember showing up at the airport with, my 1 or 2 year old, and Dwight or Danielle always remembers. She goes, I always remember Dwight telling me that you're a strong woman to be able to stand a man who has to travel for work. Not a lot of women can, but you're good at this. And
Yeah.
she'll never forget. She's like, that's why I like Dwight. He's always nice to me. But I was like, yeah, Dwight needs to see Peyton. He wouldn't even recognize her.
I probably wouldn't.
No,
Gosh, she's
there's no
big
way.
now, huh?
Oh yeah, she just turned 9 and she's growing like a weed about up to my chest, and
She was a little one in those
she
days.
was a little one, a very little one. So
Well, hi, Peyton.
there you go. That's hey, your Godfather Dwight James
Yeah.
says hello. Hey, one thing, Dwight, that we have not done with this show yet is talk a lot of NFL. Just been so much breaking news going on in the last few days. Obviously, the Blazers with their new television partnership, which is a great one, by the way. The whole Sinclair partnership with Blazer Vision and the ability to stream games. And that one, I'm actually the one I'm most excited for with Blazer Vision, Dwight, is not the ability to watch this next season. I think it's going to be cool, the ability to open up the archive and watch some of the old games. Honestly, like there's games from the 90s I didn't get to watch, games from the early 2000s that I remember and want to watch again. And I've always said this is an untapped market that not enough leagues and teams do. But Dwayne Hankins, president of business operations, said it best that one thing that the team is really trying to do moving forward is connect the new age fan to the history of the team. And I think you need that, man, because how many times do you talk to someone who, no disrespect to the young generation, but all they know of the Blazers is, Damian Lillard and beyond, right?
Yeah,
Or Brandon
yeah.
Roy and beyond, and don't know how good Clyde was, how good Terry Porter was, how good Bill Walton was,
Right.
and numerous others that I'm not even naming who
Oh,
are
a
really
lot of
good
them.
players.
A lot of them haven't even heard of a guy like Buck Williams, and
Yeah.
how important he was to those 90s teams.
He was darn good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's not a lot of history still alive from some of those teams.
Yeah. So you got to keep them around, man. I mean, I know a lot of players know names like, Jerome Kersey in name, but don't know what made him such a good player and so loved around the town. Like you said, Duckworth is another one that people know the name, but don't know what made him so good. And so, yeah, I mean, and even go back and realize that a busted old Arvydas Sabonis on no legs was still a pretty darn good center.
Yes, he was.
Man, people don't know that. So that's what I'm excited for, the chance to open up those archives and watch some old games. So if you want some more information on that, you can go ahead to the Blazers website, or you can go to our YouTube page where I posted the entire interview that we had with Dwayne Hankins yesterday and hear from him and everything he had to say. So good news coming out of that. Obviously, you had Portland Diamond Project stuff, but of course, you had the weekend that was in the NFL and Thursday Night Football coming up just around the corner, and some interesting tidbits coming out of the NFL right now. And first off, this tweet that you sent me this morning just cracks me up, and this is so true. And I think you should talk with Chad about it tomorrow too, because he'll have even better insight than you and I. But you look at some of these rookie quarterbacks and what they're dealing with, right? So let's look at Caleb Williams.
Right.
Now I know the coaching is a question mark. The offensive line in Chicago, not great. It wasn't great for Justin Fields, but look around him. He has DJ Moore, who was part of that trade to get the picks with Carolina for Bryce Young. Good receiver. Romo Dunze, who we all saw firsthand just how good he was at Washington, and he's going to be a good NFL receiver when it's all said and done. Of course, Keenan Allen, who has been great his entire career, and DeAndre Swift, who a multi-tool running back, good weapons. Jaden Daniels, who's right now the leader in the clubhouse for Rookie of the Year, he's been phenomenal. I will eat crow on that one. I didn't think he was the Heisman last year. I still think it should have been Michael Penix. Didn't know if he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. He's proven me wrong. And people like to throw that in your face. Now, I love being proven wrong when I get to watch a guy ball out like he has.
Yeah.
But he's got Terry McLaurin, who's a very, very good receiver. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, another quarterback who is, or a running back who is that run, catch, do everything, right? And then you look at Bo Nix. He's got Little Jordan Humphrey, and yes, that's his name, Little Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams and Adam Trotman. As the New Day would say, who?
Yeah. Good luck.
He doesn't have weapons. He's got to go out there be a rookie quarterback. And the offensive line in Denver has left a lot to be desired over the last handful of years, too. And then no weapons to bail him out. It's no wonder he's looked a little lost and struggled early on in his career.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really difficult for him. He's running for his life half the time when he tries to pass. Like you say, his running back stable is not great. Receivers, there's not a lot of big play guys there. It's really a difficult thing for him. And he's right in the middle of the pack with QBR, which I think is really good, given that he's a rookie quarterback and his first game or two were not very good. But he's got a higher QBR than Patrick Mahomes does. That's pretty amazing.
Hey, Mahomes is again, but Mahomes is another one that his talent bails you out so much, but he doesn't have a lot of weapons either. And without the weapons, teams have been able to really key on Travis Kelce, and Kelce is having one of the worst 3-game stretches of his entire career, let alone just a handful of games to start a year. I mean, he's my starting tight end in fantasy, and he hasn't been producing for me. Now, I'm not like someone who gets my entire day ruined because a guy doesn't give me my fake fantasy football team big numbers, but it is an indicator of how much of a struggle it's been. And so Bo Nix did have a good game this week when they got their first win, but man, he doesn't have weapons to throw to. It's jarring when you look at that list.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for him as we move through. I know they lost their leading tackler and their linebacker Singleton, I think his name is. He's out with ACL for the season now, and that's going to be a big loss to their defense because they're going to need to play really good defense to have a chance to win because it's pretty obvious their offense is not going to score a lot of points.
No, not right now. Speaking of offenses, this is another one that might blow your mind if you're an NFL fan, but yes, the 49ers are 1-2, right? We all know that they took the loss against Sam Darnold, their former backup quarterback, against the Vikings. They had a win against the Rams, and they let that one slip away. However, Brock Purdy might have had one of the best games of his career, all things considered. Like you said, if Ball didn't drop like 10 of them thrown to him, they might have had a win there, but he couldn't catch a ball. Now they're playing without Deebo Samuel. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is hurt. We talked about him going over to Germany to get some doctor's advice over there. George Kittle not playing. But look at this, Dwight. You have Brock Purdy, who was not only a 7th round, he was Mr. Irrelevant, the last player taken, currently 2nd in the league in passing yards. You have Jawan Jennings, who was a 7th round pick, came into this year the 3rd deep on the chart, right? Because he had Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and him. He is currently 3rd in the league in receiving yards. And then you have Jordan Mason, an undrafted running back who's been thrown into this situation as the starter with Christian McCaffrey out, 2nd in the league in rushing. What does that say about the front office and their ability to find these late round undrafted talent who aren't just roster spot fillers, are in here putting up numbers?
They do a great job of finding players, which they've had to do because they're not getting good draft picks because they're finishing very high up in the standings. So year after year, they're taking kind of leftovers, but what a great job they do in finding guys to fit their system who aren't really premium players when they come out to the draft.
Well,
by the way, breaking news. Aaron Judge just hit number 56.
Oh, my gosh. He's so good. He's so good.
56.
And he's so big, too. The bat looks like a toothpick in his
Sure
hands.
does.
It's really interesting. But, man, 56 on top of the 60-plus last year. Gosh, good for him.
He's hitting 324, too.
324. So that's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Let's stop the presses for it. I was still shocked though with Shohei that he goes out and has a chance to be the first guy ever inducted into the 50-50 club. Does it on the night when he like really probably shouldn't have because he had to have the multiple steals and the home runs. But then man, an empty stadium, no one at that Miami game watching it. I mean, when Judge is about to break Maris's Yankee record, man, it was packed stadiums everywhere you looked.
By the way, the ball from that number 50 has finally surfaced.
Yes.
Yeah, an auctioneer somewhere has it now. Nobody's estimating how much it's worth yet, but it disappeared on that night. Nobody knew who had it. Nobody knew where it was, but somebody got out of there real quick, and there, like you said, there was not a crowd there. They got out of there, probably just put it in their pocket and left the ballpark. But I assume MLB was there and was marking the balls that were pitched to him, so they knew that it's legitimate ball for number 50.
Yeah.
Because they do that when it gets close to a milestone of some sort.
Mm-hmm. That's, gosh, it'd be so cool to be one of those, catch one of those.
Whew.
Oh, imagine being the guy who caught Barry Bonds', be there for McGuire, be there for Judge. That's crazy.
Price is going up every year, too, on those.
Yeah.
More and more collectors getting involved and people that want to pay big money to have that ball.
Yeah. Everyone wants. See, I don't know where I sit on that. I mean, yeah, I want the payoff too, but I mean that's not a tax-free payoff. So
yeah, that's true.
Isn't that crazy too? Like, remember when like Derek Jeter was doing his farewell tour and all the teams were like gifting him stuff, and then they're like, you got to be careful with what you gift him because all that has is not tax-free. Like he's got to claim every single one of those gifts on his taxes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Of course, he was in position to pay that tax.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still don't envy the players. I didn't even know it until I started covering the league, and I realized it when it was getting close to tax time, and I was in Dallas, and the players in the Mavericks players, because they're in Dallas, they have like their team offices inside the stadium in the bowl, and they were lining up to go in and talk to the secretaries and get their stuff done. And one of the players came out like laughing, but just complaining about how hard it is to file your taxes as an NBA player because you have to file a tax return for every single state that you played a game in.
It's been that way for years.
Oh my gosh.
What an impossible task.
What? No, I mean, and I'm sure they are, but I hope the accountants that the teams have on staff are highly compensated because that is a tough job to do.
You play just one game. You don't even stay the night in, say, Minneapolis, but there you are filing a tax return for Minnesota.
That's wild.
It's crazy stuff.
That is wild. I never even knew that. And Andrew Zimmerman chimes in on the YouTube chat, by the way, that he misses those early and late 90s Blazers. The fact that $20 was more than enough to rent a video game from Hollywood Video and get a pizza from Papa Aldo's, Papa Murphy's back in of those days, and crush 7-Eleven for some candy. What a perfect Friday night, he says.
Yeah.
$20 won't even get you the candy anymore.
No.
Like I walked into Jackson's earlier. I got sunflower seeds and an energy drink, and it was $7. Like, oh my gosh, that's not even a meal.
Hey, that's my place over there. Those boys at Jackson's take good care of me.
I'm not blaming them. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
All right.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just saying the prices in general.
Okay.
But he does date himself with Hollywood Video. I used to love to go to Hollywood. Blockbuster Video.
Blockbuster, yeah.
And then it's like everything is like a episode of South Park, but in like real life. Because like, the Blockbuster Videos that I used to go to, they're dispensaries now. Like the Hollywood Videos I used to go to, if you can find, they're dispensaries now. Like it's like an episode of a sitcom.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a Blockbuster right by my house, and there was an Albertsons right there too, and there was a Papa Murphy's. So I totally get what Andrew's laying down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go over to Albertsons, grab some snacks, go over to Blockbuster, rent my video games. I remember as a kid, chicken pox was like the greatest thing I ever had because I got to stay home from school and Dad would just take my orders for what video game I wanted him to go to Blockbuster and rent for me. Came back with like Mortal Kombat, and there I was just chilling out playing Mortal Kombat. Those were the days, Dwight.
Yeah, I remember those trips to Blockbuster, just sort of combing the aisles for film noir stuff, the older stuff, old Humphrey Bogart movies, things like that. Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah, old mysteries of some sort. Gosh, I love those old movies.
Yes, those are fun. I used to like going to Blockbuster where you'd finally find the video you wanted, right? Like I'd always go early to see if they had it, but I was like, okay, I don't have like the money and all that with me right now. I'm gonna come back later because I pass Blockbuster walking home from school, so I check every single time. And then you do the game where you take the movie. It's the only one in of the movie you want to see. So then you take it and then you go to the middle of the where it's not the new releases and you hide it behind a movie that you hope no one's going to want to rent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah, I'm putting Terminator 2 is now behind Mrs. Doubtfire for the next 3 hours to see if I can go get it.
I've done that with clothes. You see a sweater or like a sport coat or something you like, and you just go put it on some rack that nobody would ever.
Yes. That's a good shopping move.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to the poor people at Blockbuster are dealing with me all the time. Can I see the movies that were recently returned to see if the video game I want's in? Oh man.
But be sure and rewind it before you bring it back.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Remember how cool you thought you were when you got the videotape rewinder, so you didn't have to rewind it in the VHS player and it rewound it extra fast? Oh yeah.
I used to have a beta player and a VH player.
Oh, look at you.
And so I could edit video by playing on one and recording on the other. It was kind of fun.
I grew up in the DVD era, so I was kind of lucky. But remember, too, there was the time when DVDs put menus on that you couldn't skip. You still had to watch through you couldn't skip through all the ads.
Yeah.
But then they also had fun DVDs where they took the time to make the menu interactive and all that.
Hey, Chris, streamers are doing that stuff now, too.
Yeah?
You get some of those streaming movies and things that they won't let you fast forward.
Oh, yeah.
You can't rewind. You can't. Come on.
Netflix needs to start adding, like, a director's commentary section if they don't have one already. Because I loved watching the DVDs where you could watch the movie. Like, I love Mallrats, right? And the Jay and Silent Bob movies. I've seen them so many times, but then turning it on and listen to Kevin Smith do his director commentary, it's always kind of fun to listen to those. Or deleted scenes. Imagine, Netflix can make some money just off a deleted scenes section.
Deleted scenes were always good, and then those outtakes were always good.
They were absolutely. So thank you, Andrew, for getting us off base to talk about Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. I also want a pizza now. Andrew says he also owned a VHS and beta player, so you're not alone, Dwight.
Oh, good.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. When we come back, it is time to hand out our high fives here on the Rip City Drive. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. It is now time to hand out our high fives. What do you got for us, Dwight?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles tonight because they handled the Yankees last night, and they're ahead of them again 2-1 tonight. I kind of like to see anybody jump out in front of the Yankees this time of year, just to create a little doubt in the Yankees' mind in the upcoming playoffs, because I never like seeing the Yankees win.
No one does except my wife.
Oh, she's a Yankee fan?
Oh, she's a Yankee fan. I have a pennant. It needs to be updated because it was pre 2014 or whatever. But it's a Yankee or a Red Sox pennant that has like all the years they won the World Series.
Oh yeah,
I bought her a Yankee one years and years ago, and she put them up on the wall last night by my office. It's like, oh nice, there's my Red Sox one, and she made sure to put the Yankee one up right next to it.
See, Nancy is a big fan of Aaron Judge.
Okay.
Her Yankee cap has a 99 on the side for Judge.
Okay.
And we went to Yankee Stadium. She was so excited to see Aaron Judge play. But I don't think she's as much a Yankee fan as just an Aaron Judge fan.
Yeah,
She really
fair.
likes him. Yeah.
That's okay.
He's got
like
a
him.
legion of fans.
I like Aaron Judge. So
Yeah,
he's
I
good.
do too. I think there's a lot to like with that guy.
Yep. I don't
Yeah.
mind. I mean, I don't necessarily mind the Yankees. Every hero needs a villain. They play the villain well.
Yeah, it's just I grew up in a time where they just it was amazing, Chris. They won every year.
Yeah.
And the Celtics won every year, it seemed like. It's just like that time, sports was just dominated by these massive dynasty teams.
Right.
And it was not fun. It just wasn't fun. You didn't care who won. Anything but those guys.
Yes, I will agree. I know that. Of course, the Yankees are they're far less hateable in the post George Steinbrenner era of Yankee world. But my wife, like you said, you said that Nancy likes Aaron Judge. Danielle, she loves the Yankees, but she's also like a baseball purist. She loves old school baseball. Like if you ask her who her all time favorites are, like there's no one who's played in the last 20 years even cracks it.
Really?
Like Joe DiMaggio is one of her favorite. Her favorite all time player is Yogi Berra. Like she loves Yogi Berra.
Did she see the documentary that
I've watched it. She hasn't watched it. I told her she needs to watch it. It's really good.
Yeah, Yogi's granddaughter did that. And it's really well done.
To be fair to her, she is very, very good at this whole being a mom thing.
Oh, yeah.
And being a mom means you don't
She's
have
got her hands full.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time to watch a documentary that your husband
And
recommends.
when the girls are in bed, she's ready for bed too,
Oh,
probably.
absolutely. Last night, I get home. I took my girls over to my mom's house because my Auntie Barbara's in town from Hawaii, and it was her 78th birthday. So we went over there and had dinner, and I told Danielle wakes up early in the morning for work. I was like, you don't need to go. Just go to bed. She's like, okay. I get home, and she's like not even in pajamas, and the phone is like on the bed, like not even on the charger. Like she hit the bed and passed out. That's how,
Wow.
I was like, yeah, you poor thing. You're a hardworking lady. So you know what? She gets my high five.
Nice.
Give a high
Very
five out to
nice.
the wife. But she does. She likes those old school baseball players. And speaking of documentaries, everyone here is Shacker's 3 minutes into it. I'm 3 episodes in. You're 2.5 episodes in to this Vince McMahon documentary. We're going to have to watch the rest of that over the next few days. It's been pretty well done so far.
It's well done, well researched. They have a lot of the key people on camera. The only thing is, if you've been following wrestling, and I'm seeing this in the reviews, if you're paying attention to wrestling over the last several years or the McMahon era, most of this stuff you already knew. But we'll see. Once they get, I'm only 2.5 episodes in. Once we get to the final couple episodes, and I think there's 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think there is.
I think we might get into some territory where there might be some new stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, the news did break while they were filming of all his misfortunes and misdeeds. So we'll see.
He tried to buy all the film from them to keep that thing from coming out.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read. Yeah, he did. He tried everything to keep them from doing it.
Yeah,
because he knew where it was headed.
It's an interesting documentary. The last episode I watched was on the screw job again, because you can never apparently tell enough stories about the Montreal screw job.
Right.
Did add a fun kind of a few new perspectives to it, which was good. But I always love Bret Hart, man. Bret Hart's fun because sometimes he tries to be diplomatic, but then at the same time just lets it out and just I hate this guy for being just a son of a gun to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and and Bret Hart, here's a question for you. I know people love when we talk wrestling, but we only got like 60 seconds left. Was Bret Hart as good as Bret Hart thinks Bret Hart was?
He was pretty good technically.
Because I think he was a ring technician myself.
Yeah, he was. He had all the moves. It's like I think Bryan Danielson is as good as Bret Hart was.
Okay.
Actually. But as far as like a favorite guy, I was such a Roddy Piper guy because of the interviews and how
Right.
funny he was, and and I knew him. That was I'd been to his house, and I knew his wife Kitty, and I just thought he was a great guy.
Yeah. I always thought it was a testament to how good Bret Hart was because it was quite evident that he absolutely hated Shawn Michaels on a personal level.
Oh yeah,
And Shawn hated him likewise. And it's a testament to how good Shawn Michaels was, too, that those two made magic in the ring.
yeah, they worked together very well.
And to do that with someone that you don't like, I think it's a testament to your skill inside that ring.
Mhm.
You got to be able to put it all behind you to do it. But gosh, if those two liked each other, they could have had even better matches. And they already had all-timers. So anyway, I just had to ask you. Go watch a documentary. Dwight, thanks for letting me host with you the last 3 days.
Hey, wasn't my pick.
But you also didn't
Thanks,
stop it.
Chad.
You didn't stop it
No,
either.
we had a great time, Chris. I was really glad you were in. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. Tomorrow you'll have Justin from 6 to 9 in the morning, as always. And then right back here, Rip City Drive from 3 to 6. Chad Doing will be back in the driver's seat. Rip City, you've been awesome. We're putting a bow on it. We're getting out of here. You guys have a good night.